thank you so much for coming on the show. It's great to finally meet you because this is how we meet each other nowadays, over Zoom. So why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and your organization and what you're passionate about?
Thank you, Chris, for having me. I think, I have a background, so I actually studied mathematics and computer science, and I have a PhD in AI from a French university.
Wait a minute. The AI has been around long enough for you to get a PhD in? Come on, didn't it just come out last year?
Thank you for making it. Exactly. That was like my PhD. I had it in '88.
Wow. So AI has been around for a long time, but from what I've been hearing, it sounds like it was just invented last year.
Hell no! It was invented before I was born, before you were born. AI actually, it's a fascinating field because I guess anything that connected to the intelligence, we have a tendency to call it artificial intelligence, which is an absurd name anyway.
Oh yeah, isn't it the guy who coined it? Didn't he say afterwards that it was a huge mistake, that he shouldn't have called it that?
I don't know. I think it was more like, it's people have a tendency to to give names that are more attractive and more marketing, and maybe to get more funding or something. So artificial intelligence, it was created. I mean, the name itself comes in 1956. So just tell you how old it was. I guess it's absurd because you picture again, definition of AI is now everyone has its quote unquote its own definition, but I'm one of the one who believes that intelligence really is far from just logic. It's emotion. It's things that I don't think a machine will really reach a level of human intelligence. It's the same as like when when I was young, like if you were good in math, people would think you're a genius. And then we had small machines, calculators, that are smarter than any human, faster than any human being, but we don't call them really intelligence. So I think AI is really a fascinating field. It has an amazing value to human civilization, and it's actually a testament to the natural intelligence of human.
Right. Well, in the current state, right, with generative AI, a lot of people don't really understand generative AI and what it does because it seems to act human, but it doesn't really act human at all, right? I mean, it's a facade.
Yeah. Again, I think the generative AI, ChatGPT is an impressive system. It's so when it comes to text, to even programming, anything that you can find online that you can learn from, it's kind of impressive. But we all know that generative AI is just repeating what was written. So yeah, I'm sure you know that online is full of incorrect information. All the I would say propaganda. Majority of the information in the news and whatever we have online, it's not really proven. So ChatGPT, when you use it, I'm really, really, really impressed with what it does, because for the first time, AI is now in the hand of everyone. Before,
Yep.
AI was like for companies and people that had a resource cost. AI real project costed millions, and now you have it on your desktop and you see it. But it's AI. That comes from data. It's not really intelligence. Just because it's like having a machine that allow you to gather all the information that's available online and then combining them in a smart way. For the 99% of the people, they think it's extraordinary because, you can ask GPT to write for you something, or to ask him to correct a sentence, but on the basis, it's still like based on probabilities, and because AI. So what's behind ChatGPT? It's a technology that's called deep learning. I never liked the word deep learning. I still remember one time I was interviewed by a magazine, and they asked me, what do you think about deep learning? I said, before you will use the word deep, show me the learning, because true learning, it's not really not based on probability and statistic. But you're right. I think for an average person, and I understand why ChatGPT is impressive, but again, the biggest problem of ChatGPT or AI, that it does not understand, literally does not understand the words. Of course,
Yeah.
when you say this, people are like, what do you mean it does not understand? It does not understand. It just repeat, put the numbers there, put the words there, but the true meaning of the words, the way we understand them as human, AI cannot do it.
Well, I can almost argue that human beings are kind of like ChatGPT, right? Because they do the same thing. They look at what's out there and they just recombine it in new ways. But we actually, and some of us actually do understand what's happening when we recombine, but some people don't even do that, right? They don't understand when they recombine. So they could act, so it's on the way to being closer to a certain kind of a human intelligence, right?
I doubt it, because, I would tell you through the history of, I guess, the trajectory of human civilization, it was always defined by accumulation of and validation of knowledge, really true validation of knowledge. Like what we define as science, our understanding of the world has been built on the foundations of cumulative, and I will add the word rigorously validated knowledge. So it's like we validate, science has to be proven fact. That's the cornerstone of all this scientific inquiry. And when you are in academia, that allowed us to be reliable, credible, despite the fact that yes, the understanding come from collective collaboration of people. But we had to validate based on fact, based on everything. But if you think about AI, and particularly what we call large language model like ChatGPT, we're literally entering a new era where knowledge is approximation.
Mm.
We can even validate what it says. I mean, it's known that deep learning, it's a black box, cannot explain what's the reasoning, how we reach its logic. So how do you validate something that cannot tell you? How did you find to justify your decision? It doesn't make any sense. It's the opposite of science. Science, you have to prove what you just said. Prove it to me. That's everything what science is. With deep learning, the core of the technologies that's used by ChatGPT, there's no way of proving it or even explaining.
So it's not even explainable. There's no way to tell it, there's no way to ask it, there's no way to get to transparency with that?
You can't. It's impossible because it's a matrix of numbers. So so compare that to our science, which is, again, the rigor, the way so AI algorithms, and people need to understand, they are merely, of course, despite all the fancy words, that we use, people like to use all this, very fancy words, but at the basic, it's, excuse me, it's probability and statistics. So the other problem is, like, when science is derived from like data sets rather than empirical validation. Science, when you see a movie, we validate what we see. But now we just have data, we use statistic probability, and boom, we have the knowledge. No way. there is no way we can prove, and there is a risk of losing the credibility of what we call knowledge. And
Right.
it's really, and I think the biggest problem, what I always say, because, all my life I was an entrepreneur. I'm fascinated by I always had a passion for desire to build companies, to innovate, and that's what I always loved. But as a side, I wanted to share my knowledge with students. It was a challenge for me to, because I had so many talented students that were very, I would say, visionary with the question they were asking. So the risk that we see with AI today when we talk about science is like, think about when you take this to education, think about the risk of creating zombies of thought. Everyone will think the same thing. So if everyone used ChatGPT to learn from it, what is the out-box thinking? What is the imaginative creative? I'll tell you a story about myself. When I was doing my PhD, I was, back then we were using expert system, which is basically you write.
Oh, there's a name from the past.
Yeah. So I was working at the Necker Hospital because as an entrepreneur, I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I decided to do my PhD at Necker Hospital because I wanted to, I would say mirror the knowledge of a doctor and take it to Africa, because in Africa there was less doctors, and so I tried to use expert system, which is like basically like if someone is coughing and has fever and this and that, then you do that.
Yeah,
So
it's like a set of rules, isn't it? Isn't that what it
exactly,
is?
set of
Yeah.
rules, like
Yeah.
yeah. And then I found out that everyone is different and there is exceptions and blah, blah. So I was like really frustrated about the limitation, because there's so many scenarios where exceptions, you have to think about everything. People are different. Someone has like a vision of, you take two people, if ask them, how hurt they are for the same thing, one would complain, oh my gosh, I'm dying. The other one would say it's okay. So it's a really human or very complex. So you can't just apply a set of rules to every person. So I was kind of frustrated, and I was waiting for walking on. It's called Boulevard Saint-Michel near the Sorbonne University in France, in Paris. And back then I was really broke, so I couldn't even enter a coffee or something. So, but they were selling books for 25 cents, like Amphron. It's like, so I
Oh, I
bought
would definitely buy a book over a coffee for sure.
yeah, but back then, you can believe, I bought a book that, just because I was bored waiting for a girl from studying at Sorbonne University, opened the damn book, and oh my God, look, that book was written like, the name is, you can even pronounce it, it's Comenius from, I don't know, Czechoslovakia, whatever, translated, I don't know how he ended there. But the guy basically said, if you wanted to teach a clock or a watch, don't try to teach the clock or the watch that you're wasting your time, but divide it so every element of the watch will say why we need it for the watch, what's the value of it. And boom, it opened my mind. I was like, damn it, I'm trying to build a system that will teach students how to become a good doctor. If what doctors use is like, you have medication, you have tests, you have for example, you can use an MRI, you can use a radio, you can use this and that, and everything in it has a benefit versus cost versus this, etc. So just with that book, actually in my PhD, I list that book. My ideas come from, this guy was talking about clocks and watches. Think about human imagination. Read it, book. That book today, ChatGPT will not even add it because it's irrelevant. It's like an outliner. It's not a book that people read or whatever.
Right.
But nevertheless, it allowed me to see things that allowed me to build tech companies. One of them was acquired in the US. The one in France was also successful, not as the one in the US. But now, if I go back to artificial intelligence, and if everyone become just going to ChatGPT, or whatever, ChatGPT or Gemini or anything, we'd be learning from the same data. So we may lose the story that I just told you about getting outside to things that no one even think about. And through that, you may find something that's impressive.
Well, we're the wild cards, though, right? Isn't it our input that creates the crazy that actually brings in the out of the box thinking? It's the combination of the human and the AI together that actually does the interesting output. You can't just ask an AI about something and expect it to give it to you. You've got to put your own input in there as well, right? So it's the combination that's the key.
Yeah, the core of AI, it's like when we applied AI for fraud prevention, we needed to I would say the intelligence of the system actually mainly comes from human.
Mm-hmm.
You have to think about all this. Of course, you can learn from data, you can learn, but it would not tell you, for example, AI will not tell you that you need feature engineering, that you need to create new attributes that don't even exist, combine the attribute, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, it can't think of as outside of the box at all in any way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely not. It's not designed for. It's a AI. It's like, see, for example, when you recognize letters, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It doesn't matter, A, B, C, D. And so, of course, I'm oversimplifying, but when you say 8, it recognizes because there is 2 circles. The 8 has 2 circles.
Yeah.
But if you read a card that for us as a human, like an anniversary card, not only we associate to it like the age, anniversary, emotions, a lot of things. A machine does not understand, true understanding. It's way beyond the word. It's not just word. Otherwise, you can learn the dictionary and suddenly you become everything. It's far from, I think, the complexity of understanding. I do believe that, things that make us as human are things that today machine cannot do. Talk about imagination. Imagination, you can think about things that never existed. You can just imagine things by, this is why people that really invented a lot of things had a powerful level of imagination, intuition, so people would say, yeah, ChatGPT does imagine it by combining things that exist, take a part here, mix it.
Well, yeah, I mean, some people might argue that that's how patents are generated, right? You take a bunch of ideas that are already there and you mash them up into something new. How is that any different from what a human being is doing, how a ChatGPT is doing?
Oh, it's completely different because I say you understand, you know what you are trying to imagine. It's not just the end result. You associate to it values. Again, I'm coming to the emotion, connecting to things. For example, if I would tell you, I used, if I tell you, take this bucket of water from 10th floor and run as fast as you can to the down. Number one, you start imagining what will happen to you if I tell you, maybe I will get water on my things. If they told me run because maybe there's fire, maybe. So you can imagine so many things that are emotionally connected that a machine cannot do. A machine has to learn from it. You can think about things that, don't even exist. You expand outside the data. And when you combine, curiosity, creativity, intuition, imagination, all the things that we take for granted, like let me take the basic thing about common sense. You know how many common sense on the damn thing exists? Like there's so many common sense that human take for granted, but the machine cannot even
Oh yeah.
understand. It's so AI is again, it's amazingly impressive. It's bringing in an amazing value, and if AI was not impressive, I would not be successful, and people would not, would not have many offers for my company to be acquired. So it means that we bring a real value to companies, and I'm very proud that company I founded and I was the CEO, manages over 150 billion transactions a year, was used for homeland security, for other things. So it brings a lot of value. But also, I think there is, what I'm trying to explain now to people is like the risk associated with AI. Look about the deep fake things that are happening now. Do you
Oh
see
yeah.
what happened to Taylor Swift? Can
Mm-hmm.
happen to any girl or any boy. It's just it's
Oh yeah.
crazy.
Have you seen some of the most recent videos? They're just in like there's no differentiating it between a real video and a fake. It's unbelievable how good they are. We can't believe anything anymore. We have to question everything.
That, see, you just said the most important thing. You have no idea how risky or full. I'm talking about real democracies, like United States or France. How riskier we will be if, and we are in the world where no one believes anything, because if you can not make a difference between something that's true, something that's fake, so how are you going to trust the information that people will tell you? How are you
Exactly.
going to believe the news reports? How are you if you start doubting everything, doubting the information, then we will expand. We already have fake information everywhere. People are skeptic, and I see the erosion of I would say trust, which undermines the fundamental pillars of democracy. So
Yeah.
if someone like you, smart like you, struggle to distinguish truth from something false, it's over. So we
Well,
can,
so that's the question then. Then how do we do that? Do we have to have our own personal AIs who can sit there and watch what's going on and go, wait a minute, that's, I can, maybe the AI can detect if something's fake, but I can't. How do we compete against that?
yeah, so I would tell you, this is why I have a venture capital firm, and what we're trying to do is to help people that are looking to build the next generation systems that actually will have an impact, because the last thing we want is to enter a world where spectrum of deep fake will be destructive. Outside, by the way, outside democracy, things we probably heard about a year ago, 2 years ago, the ransom attack that we have, ransomware, where we had no more gas, people had to pay, blah, 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 happens in Las Vegas, in hotels, this and that.
Yeah.
Think about what will happen if we start doing deep fake sabotage for companies. If someone will start, portraying a CEO saying things or doing things, what are you going to convince people that's not true?
Yeah.
How are you going
Especially
to?
with the lazy journalism we have nowadays, where they just, they see something on Twitter, and then all of a sudden it's everywhere, and it's like, wait a second, that's not real, but it's too late. It's already out there. It's already gone viral.
And people like to say negative things anyway. I mean, it's
Exactly.
like, are you kidding me?
Well, if it bleeds, it leads, right? This is what the problem with human beings. We always, whenever something negative comes up to us, that affects us more than something positive, right? So the next negativity, we pay more attention to the negativity, unfortunately.
Yeah, and again, you have, we had this employees that were saying people in general that really did nothing, were not good, blah, blah, blah. My company is the worst. They will never make it. It's garbage, blah, 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 this and that. And even if you give them a job and in general, when they start, they had no other opportunities because we couldn't compete with Google or Facebook or all the other big companies. But people like to say negative things because
Mm,
it's actually, they say it because they don't like themselves. I mean,
yeah.
anyone who says negative things, truly, it's because he dislikes himself. Unfortunately, you're not going to change humanity. So if you give this opportunity to people to make these deep fake videos, picture a teenager that want to go with someone, want to hurt another person. There's thousands now of apps that allows you, I don't know how many, but there's a lot of apps that help anyone make a deep fake video. Think about we already see this, a lot of problem with mental illness and bullying on social media. Now it's even beyond bullying because it will be like pictures and then it's really scary. So to go
Oh
back
yeah.
to your question about, I do believe that there would be, the problem is that I guess the more the AI advances, the more it will be difficult to make a difference. But I do believe there will be an opportunity for people to look for this, and I'm actually interested in. This is again what I do now. It's we invest in technology companies, and I'm a big believer, in this technology revolution. And I would like to leverage my experience as an entrepreneur and an investor to drive, changes. And this is one example because it has an impactful. It will, if we don't find a solution to this problem, it will be terrible because we when someone like me who was lucky, it was not easy, believe me, to build two companies from, I did not grow up with money or something. I actually had everything against me. Being a minority, being I had no connections. I had, but I do believe that I'm also an example for people that if they want really believe in what they do, and don't listen to the people that say, you can do it, it's impossible, this and that, they can do it. So now that I had a chance to, run companies, becoming successful, I really want to now continue doing it through this, my venture capital firm to help new companies in funding, and also I hope give them some leverage my experience as an entrepreneur to help them, succeed and bring positive changes to the world. And I'm
Fantastic.
really concerned about this is the deep fake and all the other things that comes with AI.
So speaking about that, I mean, it's time to think like a futurist. It's the year 2034, 10 years from now. Would you think, I mean, people are saying we're going to have AGI this year. People are saying, like, where do you think we're going to be in 10 years? Are things going to get worse? Are things going to get better? Is it still going to be a battleground? Where do you think we'll be?
Chris, I just wrote a book called Inside AI. In the book, actually, I started it with one of a guy that I really I never met him. Is way more older than myself, but really impressive guy who created the first, I would say chat bot, like the first people will refer to Alexa. So he's the
Oh,
guy.
wow.
Yeah,
Seriously? Cool.
yeah. He created. It's called Eliza, and
Oh, I remember playing with Eliza when I was in high school on a Commodore PET.
And you see, and so in my book, I listed all the predictions that were made by really impressively intelligent people, way more intelligent than myself, and they were all wrong, absolutely all. See, I can't tell you what will happen in the next 20 years, but I can tell you I have a chapter related to the absurdity of like what we call technology singularity, that when machines will attack a human being.
Oh yeah, Ray Kurzweil's
Yeah,
vision.
it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd, because how is a damn mathematic formula? It's just but again, saying it today because of ChatGPT and the excitement, and how people are about, are you kidding me? ChatGPT. So in 10 years, it would be, this is just my view. I don't see AI taking, over humanity, and I don't, honestly, I don't see what we call general artificial intelligence happening with this type of technologies. With
Yes, I agree with
technology,
you. I agree with you there. I think we've overhyped this thing to a point where we think it could lead to AGI, but I think we have to go to like another order of magnitude better something else beyond what we're doing now, because it feels like it, but I think it may be false.
yeah, as I said, the basic common sense, like the elephant don't fly, fish, all the things that we know, okay, simple.
Machines can't
Machine,
think.
you have to teach everything. So, and
Yeah.
again, our understanding of things, when you talk about olive oil, when I come from, it's not just olive oil. It's so memories, history, things, all of that combined make us as humans. So general intelligence, artificial intelligence, it's again, I go back to, maybe it's absurd what I'm saying. It's the same as saying, machine is really good in the way that it does like math calculation, blah blah. But we still have CPA, we still have investors, people that help in making strategies. Anything that really goes outside crushing numbers, outside logic. And logic is not everything in life. Logic is actually probably, I would say, at the most 20%.
Yeah.
Remember, what defines us as human is our subconscious, and like what it's give you an example about, and this has nothing to do with, it's a database, blah, blah, blah. It's not a database. See, the first time when you drive, you keep looking to the mirror, you keep doing this, you keep doing that, because it's the first time. How many times now I drive, I'm at home, I don't even know how I drove.
Yeah.
It's just like, I can't even tell you.
It's unconscious competence. It's just in your unconscious now. You know exactly how to drive. You don't even need to think about it. Yeah.
Exactly, and that's even I would say that's fascinating, because you find yourself stopping, reducing the speed without. It's just like, so it's way more complex than logic of is this closer to this? Is this shape looks the same as this shape? Or like ChatGPT, if I say with ChatGPT the benefit of electrical cars, then the machine will say, oh, it's good for the, global warming. So it will suggest all the word that, for every word we think about, what's the most possible word that we can add.
Yeah, all the propaganda talking points.
Yeah, and you can add them in a way that's impressive. And what ChatGPT did, which is amazing, they don't even use like a normal word. They use this old style type of.
Oh yeah, like testament and tapestry and dive.
Yeah. That makes it so. But it's, if everyone will talk about tapestry and this and that and that, then it's impressive. It's absolutely impressive, but I don't see general artificial intelligence soon. And you know, I would tell you, I spent all my life in AI, and artificial intelligence helped me understand one thing. I'm really, really, really impressed by human intelligence, by the brain, but things. I do believe that the brain is so complex, the universe is so complex, the feeling, the thinking, the emotion of what's human, the soul of human, it's so way more complex than something that we can put in a formula.
Yeah,
No matter
yeah,
how
absolutely
complex
true.
is the formula.
Yeah, absolutely true. Well, this has been great. Thank you so much. So enlightening. I want to do more. We'll do another show another time. So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, what's the best way?
You know, for the investment, you know, we have my venture capital called Exponian.com. So they can contact me directly there. And we have also a way for people to define the companies, what they are trying to do. And I'm also part of two other groups of investors outside the Exponian that I invest with. And it's a lot of really impressive, talented people that outside the money, I think the real value is you know, the experience that we had managing companies. And then when we provide resource to companies, I think the really value outside the resources, the experience and the connection we offer to people.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So I'll put all that contact information in the show notes. Well, thank you so much. This has been great.
Chris, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.
Thank
Bye.
you.